Should you invest or pay off debts? This is a dilemma that many people will face at some point in their life. On one hand, investing can grow your wealth faster. On the other hand, debt, especially high interest debt, can be super draining and special. So what's the smarter move if you have extra cash? Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alice and I am a chartered professional accountant. If you find value in my videos, do hit that like and subscribe button. And also, if you're interested, make sure you join my recently launched newsletter, which is kind of like my public diary, where I talk about all things entrepreneurship, business and finance related, things that I don't always share on social media, and things that are going on in my life, including my second business. So anytime your investment return can exceed the interest that you're paying on debt, it is a good time to ask yourself this question: should you invest or pay off debts? In business and finance, sometimes there are questions and dilemmas where there is a very clear right or wrong decision. But when it comes to investing and paying off debts, I think that there's no right or wrong answer because you're not just comparing two numbers. There is a lot of psychology behind both investing and being in debt. But how I would frame this thought process is to ask a lot of guiding questions, the right type of questions that will direct you towards the right answer and the right decision in your own life. The first type of question I would ask is, what kind of debts do you have? There are two types of debts. The first are revolving accounts, which are subject to a minimum payment every month. Revolving accounts, or what we know as credit cards, line of credits, they tend to have a higher interest rate because you can draw down on them at any time, and it's an extension of credit to you. Installment accounts are typically loans that are amortized over a period of time with a set repayment plan. And these are typically lower interest debts. They're things like mortgages and student loans. Because revolving accounts are higher in interest, it's generally a good idea to pay off revolving account balances before investing, because the interest rate on an investment return will usually be lower than the interest on a revolving account. Another sub-question around the type of debts that you have is the purpose in which those debts were incurred, because not all debt is bad debt. So is this consumer debt that you used to buy things? Is this debt that is building equity for you, such as a home renovation or a mortgage? Is this debt that are using to make money, such as a bank loan for a business or a loan for investing? If your debts are consumer debt in nature, I would think it's advisable to pay off those debts before investing. However, it doesn't mean that this is always the answer. We have to ask ourselves a series of further questions. Question 2, what are you planning to invest in? There's a couple of different ways that money can be used to generate you a return. The first and most common that most people will think about when they hear the word investing is investing into the markets. The pros of investing into the markets is that you get somewhat of a quick return with not as much effort or work involved, because all you have to do is press a button on your phone or your computers. Investing into the markets is the most accessible form of investing that is available to anyone and everyone that is over the age of 18 and has a social security number or a social insurance number. The cons of investing in the markets is that you personally do not have any control over the stock price. You have to rely on your own judgment, and you have to rely on your own ability to react according to external circumstances and external news, but you do have control over your own decision making. Second type of investing is investing back into your own business, your own brands, your own ventures, and your own goals in life. Many small business owners are all in on their business, both financially and also in time and effort, because part-time effort and part-time commitment gives you part-time results, and that's just the way it works. So if you are a solopreneur or a small team, investing back into your business allows you to buy back your time. It allows you to scale and bring new products or services to market. If you're a bigger company, investing back into your business means hiring people, building systems, improving operations, investing in better technologies. Throughout life, you may also know some people or come across people that offer investment opportunities into something that they're doing. So this is what I would call investing into someone else's business. This can be anything from a random dude that you know who's asking you to invest in his side hustle, or a legitimate company with a good idea and high quality management team that is looking to raise funds for their venture. These types of investments are always considered very high risk with very little regulation or protection around them. If I was given this sort of opportunity, I would ask a lot of questions about the people involved, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And in these circumstances, due diligence is key. So if somebody came up to me and gave me an investment opportunity, I would ask a lot of questions about the opportunity involved and also the people involved in the business model and so on and so forth. Thankfully, I started off my career as an auditor, so I just have that brain that likes to ask a lot of questions. And then the last type of investing is investing into yourself and your own skills. So for myself, I would say that this is probably the one thing that has paid off 100 times more than anything else in my life that I've ever spent money on. Webinars, seminars, coaching, courses, books. There is a lot of psychology involved in investing in yourself and making these sorts of investments and commitments, because unless you take action on what you purchase and what you implement and what you learn, it's not really an investment and it's not even that useful to you, and it won't generate you any money unless you actually take action on what you learn. But the biggest benefit you can get into making these sorts of investments is that it changes the way that you think. And throughout my life, I can honestly say that all the money that I have spent investing into mentors, learning, going out of my comfort zone to try new things, this has paid off 1,000 times more than any other stock that I've personally bought. Another question worth asking is, what is your risk tolerance? The greater your risk tolerance, the more you will lean towards investing when it comes to the investing versus debt question. Now, risk tolerance is defined and determined by your comfort level with uncertainty. And you might not even know what your appetite for risk is until you're faced with a potential loss. But risk tolerance is your own emotional ability to tolerate risk. And this is determined by so many things. This is really deep psychological stuff, right? It's how old are you? Because people's risk tolerance tends to decrease as their age increases. What are your life goals? What has been your experience in the past with taking risk? What do you define as a calculated risk? Do you know what a calculated risk even is? And have you taken calculated risk in the past, and what was the outcome? How much of your income or your savings can you afford to lose without jeopardizing your financial situation? Do you have an emergency fund or other savings to cover unexpected expenses? Of course, the higher emergency fund you have, the greater risk that you can take. And lastly, are you investing money that you need in the near future, or is this extra money that you can set aside for the long term? If you have extra money set aside, you have an emergency fund, and you have extra money that you feel like you could take the risk with investing and pay off the debts in the future, then that could be an argument for investing. What other circumstances can impact your decision to pay off debts or invest? One thing is credit score. What is your credit score and how responsible are you with debt? Because if you have a bad credit score, first and foremost, your focus might be to improve your credit score and pay off debts to fix your credit score. Because when you miss a payment on debts, your credit score can take an immediate hit. And, credit score is an indication of your past responsibility with debt. Credit score is an indication of your own past responsibility with your own debt. Now, you don't need a perfect score in life to exist and be financially okay, but if you are below a certain number, this means that you will have a hard time borrowing money, and putting yourself in that situation financially can make it hard for you to qualify for loans and mortgages in the future for your future endeavors. Then we have credit utilization, which is also related to your credit score, but general recommendation is to keep your credit utilization below 30% to maximize your credit score at any time. How does debt impact your stress? So if being in debt feels like a burden to you, then I would say you should probably pay off your debts. If you have no immediate plans to change your current situation, meaning that you see the next 3 to 5 years as stable, you're not moving, you're not changing jobs, you're not going to expect a huge income change, which respectfully is a huge majority of the population, then I would say in those scenarios, pay off your debt. And check out my video up top here where I talk about how to pay off your debt. Some people have no problem being in debt and they can sleep perfectly fine at night knowing that they owe money, maybe because they believe in themselves and their ability to make money, they know they have the skills and they're willing to take the risks. Some people just don't really care in general about being in debt very much. A lot of millionaires, billionaires, and wealthy people use debt in this world to build their businesses and their net worth. What is your debt to income ratio? Now, the general rule of thumb is that you don't want your monthly debt payments to exceed more than 40% of your monthly income. And the reason for that benchmark is because anything in excess of 40%, and it's going to make it difficult for you to qualify for a loan or a mortgage in the US. So if it's over 40%, let's say you make $5,000 a month and your debt payments are over $2,000 a month, then I would consider paying down those debts first before investing. Will interest rates go up or down in the near future? Understanding interest rates and the impacts to the economy when they're going up or they're going down, as well as the impacts to yourself, super important when it comes to thinking about investing. But overall, if the interest rates are going down, then the cost of debt will be lower to you. And right now we're in an economy where both in Canada and in the US, interest rates are expected to go down after many years of high interest. So plan accordingly and balance this projection with both your short-term and your long-term financial goals. And if you are in the US, you don't know what I'm talking about, then make sure you check out my video up top where I talk about how the most recent decisions about the interest rate cuts will impact all areas of your life. Now, speaking of your short-term and long-term financial goals, what are they really? If your short-term goal is to be debt-free, then definitely I would say paying off your debts should be your priority. If your short-term goal is to leave the 9-to-5 job, then your priority is to learn how to learn skills to replace your income. Then you might want to consider investing in yourself or your business. If your goal is to retire early and you prescribe to the FIRE movement way of thinking, then it might be a combination of paying off debts while you invest simultaneously to increase your investment portfolio. If your long-term goal is to get rich, then you're gonna have to pay the short-term price of risk and volatility. So what's more important to you at this time? If it's still hard to make a decision after thinking about your short-term goals and your long-term goals, then think about what's the most immediate and important decision to you today. Because when you break down financial goals into things that you want to achieve in the next 3 months, and then you prioritize that step by step, it can really help you decide what needs to be done next. They've done a scientific study, I read about this many years ago, where they have focus groups, and they have a group of people, group A, that have a very clear vision and goals of where they want to go in life. These people review their goals, they write them down regularly, they think about them, and they think about what life would actually be like if they achieved these goals. And then they have group B, who also does have goals, but isn't as actively intentional at realizing them. Maybe they don't put it pen to paper, maybe they think about them, but they don't take the actions necessary to do them. And that's something like 400% of a difference in outcome when it comes to comparing group A and group B in terms of the likelihood of actually achieving their goals. Because talking and thinking is very easy, but actually sitting down, putting pen to paper, and then doing the things that you know you need to do, that's the hard part, right? Everyone says that they know what they need to do, but if you know what you need to do, then why don't you have the life that you say you want? Another question you want to ask yourself is, what is your own previous track record with investing? So if you're an experienced or you're a sophisticated investor that has experienced market volatility, you may have greater risk tolerance in general. I remember when I first started out investing many years ago, I remember feeling that fear right before buying a stock, before making any purchasing decision, because I felt like it was my very hard-earned money that I had to grind for, pay tax on, be disciplined to save. It's like an emotional commitment when you've never invested before to start investing. But as you get older and as you do these things a few more times, your net worth grows, you're more confident as a person, your decision-making process is faster, better, because you are faster, smarter, and better. And so today, if I had to make a decision to buy a stock or to buy crypto, I wouldn't even need to really think about it. I would need to think before making a decision, but it's not like what it used to be like when I was doing it for the first time. When I was younger, I used to think that risk aversion is something that I was conditioned in my genetics. Like I'm just a type of person that gets fearful and gets anxious easily. And I would tell myself that this is something that's always gonna happen with me. It's always gonna be stuck with me. And that is that I am a fearful person. But in these moments, when you're faced with a decision that makes you uncomfortable or uncertain or fearful, and you push past and you just adjust to the feedback, as time goes on, something that made you fearful or caused you a lot of anxiety 3 or 5 years ago is something that I now can do without even thinking. Wanting to do something with my life, but not really wanting to put myself out there at the same time, which I think is something that many people feel, especially younger people today who want to make content and think about it, but just hesitate to make that leap. But now looking back, filming content is just a part of my life. It's just something that I do, and it's like a habit and just something that I've incorporated. And for me to sit down and make a video now doesn't really take any thought or effort. I mean, I have to plan to make the video, but I definitely don't have any feelings or emotions associated with producing videos. I always like to use past behavior as a judge for my decision making. Now, if you guys like this video today, you're gonna love my review and summary of the millionaire fast lane. In today's society with the internet and social media, we no longer need to save and invest and wait 40 years before wealth might happen to us. And in that video, I talk about my own reflections and talk about what MJ DeMarco summarizes in his book, which is possibly one of the best reads that you can make in this lifetime. So make sure you check out that video up top, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until next time.